It's a beautiful morning. I think I'll go outside for a while and just smile. Just taking some clean, fresh air.
Rightio everyone, and welcome back to another Krebs Coho replay cast. This time around, actually, you know what? I was promising you guys a surprise. And let's get cut to the chase. I am accompanied by a very familiar face. Say hello for your familiar face.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Oh my god, it's Ryan! It's Ryan, everybody. So if you've been missing Ryan, then here he is. Ryan, let's just get this game on the road and we'll continue talking in 3, 2, and 1. There we go. Alright, so Ryan has not had his face shown around here for quite a while. I suppose maybe he was a bit afraid, maybe. Am I an intimidating guy, Ryan?
Oh, totally, dude. I am afraid of the bleach blonde hair like you wouldn't believe.
Jeez, I was waiting to say, how do you know how I look like? Yeah, because I posted one video where you guys got to see me. Yeah, apparently I've actually ruined a lot of people's ideas of how I look like with that video, and I'm very sorry, very, very sorry for doing that. But, you know, if you haven't seen it, don't check it out, because just imagine what I look like. There you go. Okay, so Ryan, let's do the introductions of what we're going to be looking at this time. On you go. You introduce it.
Well, we have Seph playing Americans, and we have I Am Tyrant playing Wehrmacht in the north, and Seph is on the south. We've got Seph starting off with his first produced engineer actually picking up the munitions on the east side of his base. The engineer squad that built the barracks is actually going for the fuel over on the west side, so he's splitting up a little bit here.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. It doesn't seem like anything really that different over here. We have 2 piles out, so nothing really special there. But also we have a first MG coming out from the Wehrmacht quarters, gonna be setting up around the center side, but actually he's being quite bold. He's moving up a little bit ahead. And just before I say anything more, I want to mention something about the player I'm going to be looking at. I'm obviously looking at the Wehrmacht, and that is llHFllFantasticGAnZi, a very exotic name. And I've actually done a replay about him in a previous replay, and basically it wasn't exactly the best of replays. Now I'm going to sort of spoil it, but hopefully you guys have seen it by now. Basically he was sort of a Wehrmacht spammer in that game. The Volk spam, the very notorious, infamous Volk spam, oh jeez. So I'm kind of interested in what he's going to do this time around against Seph. So definitely looking forward to that. Ryan, what is going on? We've got some action.
Well, we got our first little skirmish between engineers and pyos, and the engineers are actually faring incredibly well.
Oh my god, yeah, I was just waiting to say, because it seemed like the Pioneers couldn't even get some sort of cover there. I mean, the Pioneers had a total advantage of at least being behind that tractor, but for some reason they weren't getting any cover there. That was kind of a strange thing, and unfortunate pushback in the beginning.
Yeah, we see the rifle squad trying to move up on this MG and getting suppressed by the MG's machine gun, basically, and you know, the decreased setup time for the MGs has really helped a lot with that MG micro. It makes an incredible difference.
I know, like, especially if you think about pre 2.602, you'd have to be really, really careful with your MGs, especially if it's going to be your first one. How much did they decrease it by? Like 0.5 of a second?
I think it was like 0.4, 0.5.
0.4,
but
0.5.
you know, a half a second goes a long way.
It definitely does, especially because that half a second is the difference between life and death, and whether you're going to get pushed back or not. And that definitely helps a lot. And so, you know, the MG in the beginning is really going to help. It's sort of an iffy thing that he was being so bold with it, and I think the reason he was being so bold, you know, he's obviously trying to be cut off the Americans from the right-hand side, but it's as a consequence, because of that, the riflemen managed to chase him away into this house, and so managed to cap away at the cutoff point. And so technically right now, the Wehrmacht Ganzi has no income, a very severed income anyway.
Yeah,
Hmm.
we also saw the Wehrmacht player actually laying some mines down on the crossroads, and I have a sneaking suspicion that we're going to see a lot of mines throughout this game because if you're dropping mines relatively early on Langres, that's really where you're going to be focusing quite a bit of your munitions. And over here on the east side near the brick house, we have another set of mines going down. So I really think we're going to see quite a bit of that across this field.
Well, I mean, Ryan, come on. I mean, this is Seph and Ganzi after all. Come on, you gotta expect some mines.
Right.
So lots of mines, and obviously very strategic points. I mean, if we look at it, they're on just the crossroads of all that stuff where all the action is going to be happening. Quite an interesting placement to have that mine. Do you think it's probably for any future vehicles?
Yeah, I think what he's looking to do there is he's looking to stop an M8 from running around that house more than likely with that mine. And obviously, that intersection near the VP in the center, is heavily traveled by infantry and vehicles alike. So,
Oh yeah, I mean definitely those mines are going to be very, very useful. And it seems like these players are really content on their VPs right from the get-go. I mean, if we look at the VPs at the moment, 500 for Mr. Seph, 473 for the Wehrmacht Ganzi. Now, okay, let's just look at what Ganzi is doing at the moment. He has 3 Volksgrenadiers out on the field and an MG42. Now, if we're going to be talking about tech orders, this seems kind of a bit delayed. He's not really going for his T2 just yet. By this point of the game, a lot of Wehrmacht players would actually be focusing on going for T2. However, this is sort of reminiscing in that one replay I was talking about, the Volk spam. And this is starting to look like a lot of Volks, a bit more than the ordinary.
yeah, and we have this rifle squad that's getting low and going down on the retreat.
Oh man, I think your game is like slightly a bit faster than mine. Hold on, I'm gonna speed up. I'm at 6:21. Ryan, if you want to count it down, actually.
I am at. I'll stop at 6:30 here.
Okay. And there we go. Let's go. Go, 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 go. There we are. So we've got some Volksgrenadiers, all badly damaged. Oh my god, look at that. They're all at half health and severely down on the manpower. However, I think he's just staying there because he knows he has an upper hand on that one lone squad in the building. Just look at that. He's focus firing on them, just about to take them out. However, they're retreating out of there. Very good. And Seph is actually putting another squad in the building. Isn't that kind of an iffy thing to be doing?
It definitely would not be my choice necessarily, but he's looking to delay. And if you've ever really come across this in game, it can be really frustrating because you have to dedicate those units to that spot while he's spread out. For example, over here on the left side, capping out up the west side of the map and keeping everything around while he's just dancing in and out of house with a couple of squads that he's just running back and retreating. I think one of the reasons we're seeing I Am Tyrant, and speaking of that, we got a sniper out on the field. One of the reasons we're seeing I Am Tyrant use a lot of the Volk spam is because of the lessened reinforced cost. But I think I'd like to see it coupled with something that's going to leapfrog him, whether it be a medic bunker. The engineer rape over here on the Volk squad on the east side.
Oh god. Oh jeez, yeah, they managed to chase away those Volksgrenadiers, and luckily that mine was there to take out a few of those engineers and chase them away. As you were saying about the Volksgrenadiers, obviously their reinforcements costs are decreased, and they're obviously spectacular once they reach T2, which I should actually mention the Wehrmacht are now at T2. So obviously they have a faster capping rate, very basic stuff. You should know your 2.602 changes, and if you don't, shame on you. But anyway, obviously there's a heavy investment in T1. I mean, if we look at the units on the field, 1 MG42, sniper, and 3 Volks. That is kind of a delayed thing for by the Wehrmacht. But then again, it's not really totally bad, because if we look at the teching order, he's at T2, so he has those Panzerfausts unlocked, so we can obviously try and start countering this M8. However, let's look at the munitions. 78 munitions for Ganzi. That's only enough for 2 Panzerfausts. That's not going to be enough to take out an M8 with with its armored skirts.
Now, he did do something very clever. He actually built the mine outside of the Tier 2 building and then put the Tier 2 building down.
Hmm, that's very clever. I actually didn't notice that. I'm glad you actually pointed that out. Now that is not a mine from the Americans, that is a mine from the Axis, obviously, if you look at it. And that is just to delay, obviously, the Greyhound from getting on up in there, because what a lot of people like to do, I haven't really seen this in 2.602 replays a lot, but in pre-2.602, I used to see it all the time. What Greyhounds would used to do is just place their own mines in front of that Krieg barracks and prevent the pack gun from coming out of there. So obviously that mine is meant to be a counter against the Greyhound. Now we don't really normally see the Germans do that, but it's pretty cool that he's doing that.
Yeah, the strafing run that came in on the Wehrmacht base, though, was really ineffectively placed. It came in a little delayed, and the Wehrmacht, was able to just kind of, they were already on the move, and it was in the wrong direction. So Seph really didn't get his 150 munitions worth out of that run.
I mean, how many guys did he kill there?
Like two.
Oh god. Oh jeez. Well, Ryan, can you comment anything on the map right now?
Well, obviously, map control's fallen heavily into the American hands with that M8 and the Wehrmacht base. It kind of brought all hands on deck back in the base. Sepha did a decent job, but obviously his micro was very focused on that M8. So he had a couple of engineers chilling in his base, but yet, despite our wishes, you really cannot be doing three things at once that way. And when you've got something that takes all your attention, like scraping that M8 back out of that base, he's not really going to be running around the whole map all the time either.
Yeah, right, right. And now I just want to ask one more thing. How much munitions does Seph have?
He's at 94 right now, and has a plus 59 income though.
You know, to be honest, like, I'm thinking about the whole thing as strafing run at the moment. Like, do you actually think that that was a great choice? Because I know you just said that it wasn't the best of choices. But however, if he moved it slightly to the side, maybe he could have killed more guys. But then again, I'm thinking at the moment, if he has quite a bit of ammunition, obviously strafing runs cost a lot of ammunition to use. Maybe, I'm thinking about it right now, but maybe even grenades would have been a better choice to go for than that sort of strafing run. Because if we look at all the infantry on the field, I mean, they're going to be held up against fences. There's going to be an MG42. There's going to be packs, and grenades actually might not be a terrible decision to go for.
Well, grenades is not inherently, it's not grenades or strafing run. Yes, you have to have munitions to use grenades, but he's got a really good income. I think if that placement on that strafing run had been better, it would have caused a lot of damage and potentially even, an irreparable amount of damage to the point where the Wehrmacht player wouldn't even really be coming out of his base for a while.
Oh yeah, definitely. So now I'm not trying to say that it's either grenades or strafing run. Obviously, strafing run is brilliant. I mean, just look at what happened right there. Oh my god. Obviously, strafing run when placed correctly is brilliant. But grenades is obviously a great way to counter infantry, and strafing run perfectly fine. Just comes down to preference. But anyway, let's take a look at what's on hand. The Wehrmacht, very bad position. They just lost the Volksgrenadier squad. They look like they're about to lose another one from this engineer squad. And oh my god, he's just getting out of there. That is so close, Ryan.
Yeah, and the addition of the bars on the riflemen, presuming that Sepha kind of keeps these guys alive, it's definitely going to turn the tides. And we got a Pyro squad running around on fire going down. I love the run in circles while on fire.
Do you see everything that's going on?
Yeah, we have an engineer going down. We have a rifle squad going down. Just some really risky moves in trying to stay in those fights by Sepha.
And just all the counters coming up there. Look at this. I mean, the mine placing, the counter snipes by the snipers to take out the engineers, killing the pioneers, and all this stuff. They're just counters for absolutely everything. Now we got an MG42 setting up and mauling two riflemen almost instantly. There's no separation between those kills there. It's just absolutely crazy. Let's take a look at what the tech orders, or the doctrinal choices, should I say, for the Wehrmacht. He has gone for the Blitzkrieg doctrine. Not a bad choice. Obviously, what I really love to see from the Wehrmacht, and I say this in every single game that I cast, and I see these sort of heavy infantry strategies, is I would simply love to see a little medic bunker. I'm not asking for too much, but I'd really love to see one. Just because obviously you got the heavy investment, go for it. So Blitzkrieg Dogtrain, he's got a stew. Obviously going to be great against countering the riflemen, and it's not going to be opposed by the M8. Have we seen any mines from the Americans?
No, I really haven't seen any mines yet from Sepha, and the stew will be good at countering the rifleman from Sepha if it can stop shooting the house that it was sitting behind, because it just smoked like the entire western portion of that house.
Yeah, that looks absolutely brilliant. Let's take a look what else is happening. The M8 is just doing some drive-by sort of shooting maneuvers. He's still doing some long-range shots, but being notoriously inaccurate. I mean, the Stu is definitely known for just basically missing almost all the time. Just look at what's going on there. Both players are really intent on their VPs. I mean, look at it. 299 for the Wehrmacht.
No!
And...
That stew shot
No!
just dropped 5 people.
That was absolutely crazy. Now, this is the thing about these Stu. It's just so inconsistent. But when it does land on, it's just absolutely devastating. So you're really hoping for something good to happen. One thing that I mentioned in the previous replay is that you should actually perhaps use attack ground with the Stu. Obviously that's going to require a bit of micro, but then again you can actually direct where that Stu is going to be shooting. That rifleman squad did go down because of a stray Volksgrenadier shot, I believe, or maybe a sniper shot finishing it off. Look at the sniper already. It already has 16 kills. That is a lot for a sniper.
Yeah, and Seph kind of took a pot shot at it with he also hit a Volk squad, and it did a little damage to it, but the changes to strafe really caused the sniper to not be as in danger from strafe as it has been in previous patches. So it really is a very nice change.
Definitely. So obviously that sniper is going to be a lot more safer now. If we saw just a few minutes ago, the Wehrmacht were in quite a desperate position. Oh my god, that's Stu just attacking the Volksgrenadiers. What a horrible aimer. The Wehrmacht were sort of pushed back to their base now. Now they're sort of changing the tide of war slightly. They haven't managed to actually cap away at the eastern side of the map. However, what they have managed to do is at least cut it off, so the Americans can't actually get the supplies from there. Let's see what kind of income we have. Plus 32 for the Wehrmacht, plus 10 in terms of fuel for the Wehrmacht as well. They have loads and loads of fuel. However, they do not look like they're going to be going for T3 or T4 anytime soon. They're quite content with Grenadiers and staying at T2.
Oh, and that rifle squad going down on retreat to a mine. One of those rare things. And there's the Stu just shooting at that house again. Just not really happy with that house, and now it falls down.
I mean, yeah, what does he have against the freaking barn? I mean, what does the barn ever do? That's a very rare, another strafe run. I'm missing out all these action sort of stuff. It's really rare what we saw with that rifleman squad going down the mine. Usually, a lot of times, men will actually get away from the mines, even if they run over them on retreat. However, that's really unfortunate to be seeing something like that. Now, Ryan, what kind of infantry or units do we have from Seph at the moment? How many does he have?
He's got an engineer, a rifleman, an M8 that's got about 5% health, and a Sherman.
And he's still managing to hold on to all these points? That's crazy. I mean, I'm looking at all the stuff that the Wehrmacht has at the moment. Okay, I'll just list this all off by order. 2 Grenadiers, MG42, Pack, Pioneer, Sniper, 3 Volksgrenadiers, and a Stu. That is a lot more than Seph. But so Steph's blockbuster of a unit at the moment is going to be the Sherman. This is going to be his tide changer, or so we hope at least. I mean, he's going to be quite desperate on this doing something.
Yeah, the Stu is really not going to do much. I mean, you see the Sherman taking a decent hit from it there, and it was just really not that damaging at all. And so the Sherman's really going to help with the, against the infantry. It doesn't have the up gun yet. He really doesn't need the up gun yet. But since there is a stew on the field, he's going to have to keep that in mind as the match goes on, because inevitably there will be a tiger coming.
How much fuel does Seph have?
He's got 60 right now and pulling in about 21, but obviously he controls most of the points on the map. Right
Because
now, he just has to connect them.
Yeah, because what he's doing right now is actually trying to connect those that fuel point on the eastern side with that manpower point. Obviously not being able to capture that, but he looks like he's a little bit desperate. I mean, he really, really wants to take it and get a better fuel income rate. I mean, he was really desperate there, obviously taking that MG fire and having to retreat from that. And now if we look at the tactical map, this is a total reversal of what we're seeing in terms of the points. The Wehrmacht are very much so pretty much in control. They're going to be taking all the points, and it's just a complete reversal. So very well done to the Wehrmacht so far. If we're going to be looking at what they're going to be bringing out, 2 packs, they seem quite persistent in what they have at the moment.
Yeah, Seph has been spending his manpower. He's picked up another 2 rifle squads and just reinforced what he had and just kind of continuing to work that way. This rifle squad over here on the west side using suppressive fire and still almost losing this fight against these grenadiers.
Let's see. Why am I not seeing this? What time are you at?
2039.
Alright,
40.
okay, so I'm not that far away. Okay, never mind then. I do believe there's some fights going on, no wonder. Alright, so the futile attacks from the riflemen on the center side, not really doing that much. What I would like to see is probably some stormtroopers out from Ganzi by this point. Obviously with that Sherman out, the stormtroopers could help a lot. They're obviously going to be a bit more expensive than the grenadiers. I mean, the grenadiers could easily get the Panzerschrecks, but to be honest, I think the stormtroopers would have been a better choice than the grenadiers. I know the stormtroopers are 75 manpower more. However, the camouflage takes you a long way farther. Ryan, I do believe we've got an M8 armored car that's in the wrong territory.
Yes, he's looping around. He was chasing a grenadier back to base and finished it off. And I don't think he's really going to be sticking around for that one. He may chill outside the base and take a look, but we'll have to see what happens with that guy.
Now, if we're actually looking at the armored car's kills, he has 12 infantry kills and 7 structure kills. So that's kind of a funny thing. 7 structure kills. Is that from mines, possibly?
Nope, been running over some wire.
Been running over some wire, okay. Well, fair enough. It didn't that counted as kills.
Yeah, it counts as structure kills. Who knows
Right,
why.
well, fair enough. I suppose whatever goes in this world, that is a kill. So I guess he's been killing the barbed wire, if that makes sense, an inanimate object. We've got stew shots, devastating riflemen down here. Not good, not good, not good. What is this? We've 2 Shermans. 2 Shermans. Now... Oh man, this is spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. Loads of strafing runs.
And that sniper finally met its end to the rifle. Well, actually, it was to a Sherman that was firing towards the rifle squad, and then the stew fired in immediately afterwards. We're gonna see this pack up here circle strafed, and he's kind of managing between the packs and the stews and trying to keep 2 tanks alive at once and not get Fausted. And yeah, I don't know. He's trying to get rid of this stew. It's just amazing.
What I'd normally say in a situation like this, I'd say, it's absolutely brilliant that you have 2 packs out. Obviously, they're going to be supporting each other. Now, it's spectacular that he has 2 packs out, but they're kind of acting against each other because there's a freaking building right in between them. They obviously can't shoot through that building, and so this gives the Shermans a great opportunity to just circle around them, avoid their shots, managing to take out that stew. Obviously, the only thing that's managing to keep the Wehrmacht in the fight here is this lone stormtrooper squad with the Panzerschreck in the house. Seeing that Sherman go down by a lone pack shot, and so it looks like heavy casualties for both sides. It seems pretty much an eye for an eye, really.
Yeah, losing the stew, he really only lost some manpower on the guns because neither of the guns really went down. And he's just backing the Sherman away and killing a Volk squad that was trying to Faust him, kind of in a last-ditch effort.
Oh, jeez. So heavy casualties on both sides. And this is where, these guys are really good pros. I've seen plenty of their games in the past. And the only thing I can really comment on in a lot of these pro games is that they become so aggressive that they become too aggressive, and they become so bold it's just not needed. In a way, losing the Volksgrenadiers to try and Faust the Sherman, all these sort of needless losses. It's the unit preservation goes down a little bit, but that's just because they're so aggressive.
Now, take a look at the Wehrmacht base. Watch what this M8's machine gun is doing to the building.
Attacking it.
Yes, but look at how it's attacking it. It's kind of shooting at a door, shooting at a window, shooting at another window, shooting at another window. It's just kind of randomly choosing its target on the building.
You think it... Well, that's kind of strange. Maybe it's a bug. Oh my...
I have...
Wait,
And
on.
there's an M8 mine on a bunch of...
Oh my...
Oh!
Oh my god. Jesus. That is absolutely mental. That is absolutely crazy. If we're talking about the losses there, that is a load. Just looking at how many units are out from Ganzi, he's got a lot less than he had a few minutes ago, and that mine definitely sealed the deal on just taking out so many of these guys. He lost a Volksgrenadier and a Stormtrooper squad from one mine. That is so effective. Now this M8 actually managed to take some damage from that mine being placed down. He managed to put another mine down, but it looks like one Patrick shot just about to take it out, and there we go. The M8 is taken out. What is the Pioneer Squad doing? I have absolutely no clue. They're going to be just hanging around there, and okay, well, fair enough. Just suicide in that mine. Well, Ryan, if we're talking about tactics, do you think that is the best way of taking out a mine?
Well, I think what he was doing was he was actually moving up to salvage the wreck, and in the process of trying to salvage the wreck, kind of stepped on a mine. It happens. You're just trying to get you some scrap metal, and it just really doesn't work that way.
How counteractive. I mean, that is just when life throws things back at your face. I mean, you're trying to do something with good intentions, and obviously it can't happen. Well, obviously now that wreck is gone because it got blown up by that mine, so not a good way for things to go down. We have another Pioneer Squad replacing that one that just got killed. If we're looking at the territory, it seems pretty much half and half, but the Wehrmacht still have pretty decent control. Loads and loads of mine. This is loads and loads of mines. This is pretty much where all of the munitions for the Wehrmacht is going. If we're looking, they only got 23, 24, counting on, so on and so forth. Pretty much all their munitions is being spent on mines. We see Panzerschreck out somewhere, but just mines really, just absolutely everywhere, and they're doing such a great job. I still don't think we've seen actual mines from the Americans yet, except that M8.
They're losing territory.
No, we really haven't, except for the M8s. We have a Sherman Croc on the field who is now just meeting head to head with a Tiger. And,
okay, so the Animal Kingdom, two beasts, crocodile versus tiger. Who could win this? I think it's quite obvious.
Yeah, we've got the Croc actually kind of making a run right towards the base after the infantry backed up from the standard M4 Sherman. That was moving upfield, but the Tiger's now going in to finish off the Sherman, so it's really not looking good for Seph's tank play at this point.
Oh no, I mean, look at what kind of anti-tank does he have? He pretty much has nothing. He maybe has sticky bombs, but consider there's hardly even any riflemen on the field at the moment. He only has that Sherman, that crocodile that's damaging away at the Creek Barracks. It's landed on itself on that mine. Pack shots on it, just about to be taken out, obviously getting some cover behind the building, the Wehrmacht quarters, but oh no, being taken out. Oh my god, that crocodile being taken out, losing its life so quickly in the game. And this is another very unfortunate thing with the crocodiles. We don't really usually see its life being the most absolutely brilliant. Pretty much in every single game we ever see a croc, they die so quickly, and it's very unfortunate. I wish the crocodile had some sort of preservation where it could last longer and be effective. The tiger is pretty much unopposed, Ryan.
Yeah, I know it is, and you know, and we've got an AT gun being built, but one-on-one to a Tiger, I don't know that that's really going to do a whole lot of good. However, I'm half expecting to see some stickies coming out of Seph here soon. Um, so we'll have to see what he is trying to plan for this because the tiger in shooting at the supply yard has very interesting ramifications for it. If you take down that supply yard, he loses the bonuses that were granted by it, including all of the levels and everything that you've researched to date. So there's your sticky going out on the tiger. Um, One of the last things you want to see on German tanks is damaged engines because it takes forever to repair them.
If we're talking about, okay, let's talk about some balance actually, because brung up a very interesting topic there. And if we're talking about how the vehicles of the Americans and the Wehrmacht get repaired, I'm not going to talk about the Americans, but the Wehrmacht, obviously, their engines and their guns only get repaired after their full health has been repaired. Now, that is obviously due to the fact that sticky bombs come out. Obviously, if you had sticky bombs, they had damaged engine, and the engine got repaired right away, well, it would kind of negate the whole point. So that is the reason why the Tigers and all the Wehrmacht vehicles in general have to get all their health back before they can actually repair the modules. This Tiger's immobilized, and that AT gun closing in from a faraway distance. Look at that rifleman squad just getting some scouting power there, and that is a Tiger gone. Now that was basically not the best of Tiger lives there, I would say.
No, I mean it certainly did some damage. It took out a Sherman. It heavily damaged the crocodile before it ran into the base and ran over the mine, sitting in front of the Krieg's barracks. Um, and it did some damage to the supply yard here in the base. Like I said, a few rifleman kills and those kind of things, but really not worth its salt at that point. But Cepha did have to apply some resources to countering it and some time and some micro. So. Um, you know, he definitely was out fighting with some riflemen midway through, using some suppression. He's lost a bar on at least one squad near the North VP. It's a very interesting thing because they're both willing to lose, you know, pieces in this match to each other just to take the other one out, and so it's kind of a very different. Style of play and into the mid late well right now you're totally into the late game and it's just getting later and later and later.
Obviously, getting out there all their late game units. I mean, come on, you cannot get later than the Tiger, right? The 800 manpower. Obviously, we see a lot more longevity usually from the Tigers, but as you were saying about the resource spending, and that took a lot of resources just to take out that Tiger. I mean, losing Sherman, using multiple stickies just to take it out, but most importantly, just delaying the American from actually doing anything. So obviously that gave some time for the strategic points to be held in the hands of the Wehrmacht. But if we're going to be looking at the VPs, it seems like the VPs are pretty much equal. 291 for the Wehrmacht, 250 for the Americans. So that's pretty much halfway ticked down the VPs. Now we have more mines galore from the Wehrmacht. Look at that, mines just right behind the munitions. I wonder if the Grenadiers are going to try and lure them. No, they're going to stay in heavy cover, or in decent cover, average cover. And wow, just managed to dodge that grenade. So we have those grenades out from the riflemen. So it seems like action is absolutely everywhere across the field. Oh my god, this is so much to take in.
Yeah, it really is. He's, you know, Cepha's bouncing around, engaging on quite a few different fronts. We have a HMG team set up down here suppressing the Volk squad, and he just pulled that from a supply drop. We've got this rifle squad that needs to get out of there and is running away. We have more mines going up by the Wehrmacht player. I mean, I probably count half a dozen mines that I can see right now. They are just everywhere.
And the funny thing is that he can't. I mean, the American can't even get minesweepers. I mean, he easily could technically to scout these out, but what we had a little bit earlier was an MG42. Maybe a mine would have been a good decision by now to actually start countering that sort of stuff. Tiger shot taking out 3 guys in 1 shot, just by the way. But loads and loads of mines. Now I'm gonna be let's just say if we're going to be talking about the micro and all these useful things that we usually mention in other games, such as using barbed wire and mines, I would definitely give Ganzi an A++ at the moment. I mean, he's just been spamming these mines like crazy. The barbed wire is on the choke points. I mean, look at this. The crocodile has to basically get structure kills in order to take out those barbed wire. I mean, it's just a fantastic sort of play by Ganzi, using all these effective, annoying tactics. I mean, they work.
Yeah, Sepha also kind of revealed his croc there, though, and by running past that strategic point there in the center. So the tiger is moving back towards the base to try and keep that croc from really being able to do anything. So again, we're seeing the tiger and the crocs kind of meet up to each other. And, you know, that's if Sepha can micro that croc around a building, he can potentially take that building out, but he's going to have to be very, very careful.
That definitely so. The croc is obviously faster than the tiger, but I think he's gonna lose this crocodile yet again. This is the infamousy about the crocodile. It just barely does anything, and it just dies so quickly. I'd really love to see a game where crocodiles actually have a great use and they do something rather than just die. I mean, because that's a huge investment of fuel and manpower into getting such a thing that basically does almost nothing. It's just really unfortunate to be seeing such a unit being wasted like that. But then again, scouting is definitely a very high priority in this game, and as you were saying about the crocodile being revealed so early, if he managed to actually go along the western side of the map rather than through the middle, he could potentially have taken out a few, or at least one of those buildings in Wehrmacht's base. Seems like quite a push on the American, or the Americans are pushing quite a bit though.
Yeah, we've got a fairly large infantry push going on. We've got yet another Croc Sherman coming out, and I really wonder if he's doing this just to try and keep the Wehrmacht player from really being able to establish an infantry base, and also keep that Tiger, you know, away from the rest of his units. But you know, at the manpower and fuel investment that you're looking at, that's an expensive distraction. The Crocs did receive some buffs in the patch as far as you know, the way their flamethrower works and how that all happens, but it still is a unit you have to be able to get close, you have to be able to do it relatively safely, and you can't really be opposed by much of anything that's anti-tank with it, because it's going to go down pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. That's a really unfortunate thing about the Crocodile. I mean, it's a late game unit. Obviously, it's more expensive to get than a Sherman, and by that point in the game, the late game, you're obviously going to have these heavy tanks out already. The only time you can really use a Crocodile is when there's no anti-tank on the field, which is going to be very, very rare. Oh my god, Ryan, did you just see that?
Oh, it was an entire squad just gibbed.
What? I have never seen something like that before. They were quite spread out as well. That's some crazy blast radius on the Tiger.
Yeah, it really is. And of course, the one thing that did come from that's actually not bad is that Vet 1 rifle squad picked up a third bar. I saw a squad today that had 4 bars on it and triple vet, and it was mowing down KCH like you wouldn't believe. So it was definitely entertaining.
That's great to see. I've got to actually see something like that. M10 by Seph. Interesting choice. It looks like he's finally, should I say, given up on the crocodiles. Obviously, they're not paying their dues. So he's got an M10, which at least is going to be countering the Tiger to some effect. Obviously, it has paper armor, so it's going to be destroyed very easily. But at least it's not a crocodile. That's what I'm glad at. Instead of those crocodiles, what I actually probably would like to see is probably a Sherman's. Sherman's could do just probably as much damage as the crocodile and just survive probably longer.
Yeah, this M10's at low health though, and he just had to build a set of engineers to repair it. So he's got to back up a little bit with it, which means that he wasn't really, you know, he had to back up with his AT gun. He's got his Tiger getting repaired. I Am Tyrant does, and so we're seeing some movement back and forth, some map control switching back into the hands of the Wehrmacht player.
Now this is a funny thing. The Wehrmacht obviously have Blitzkrieg Doctrine, And this puts the airborne doctrine in such a difficult position because we have so much camouflage on the field. Stormtroopers, camouflage. Pack, camouflage. If we're looking at the units on the field, not that many non-camouflage units anymore. So obviously it's going to be quite difficult for strafing runs to even know where to place themselves down. Obviously it's going to be, obviously the strafing run came down the one lone squad there, but you know, it's not going to be that effective. It needs to hit multiple targets, and it's just going to be hard to even see when you've got stormtroopers that are camouflaged and everything camouflaged.
Yeah, it definitely adds to an element of surprise for the Wehrmacht player. It's going to create a lot of problems for the American player that way. Like you saw the MP44 storm squads popping out, and they jumped up and were like, oh, hey, guess what? We're going to be here. So, you know, Seph had to strafe that squad to save his rifleman squad that he had capping the center VP.
What a shame of munitions, though. I'd absolutely love to see some mines from Seph. I mean, that'd be absolutely spectacular to see something like that, and if he could lead like a tiger or some infantry into the mines, I'd absolutely love to see that. But look at these camouflage stormtroopers. They're trying to get near that AT gun, and there you go. I mean, the AT gun, it has veterancy 2, so obviously that's going to help a lot. If we're talking about the veterancy for the AT gun, I do believe it gets increased accuracy at veterancy 1 and increased penetration, I believe, at veterancy 2. So that is obviously going to be a huge loss if the Americans actually lose something like that, because this AT gun is going to be so effective at countering that Tiger. Strafing run absolutely annihilating loads of guys. Not looking good for Ganzi at the moment, but then again, not really looking spectacular for Seph either.
Well, he did some damage to this Tiger, and now we got the M10 kind of moving in to finish it off. We'll have to see if that M10 can take out that Tiger. Obviously, it's possible for a single M10 to take out a Tiger just by circle strafing it, but that can be a very iffy proposition.
Oh, that can be definitely very iffy. I'm not exactly sure what the Tiger is doing. He's just trying to back off as best as he can, but it's not really happening. At least there's some Panther Strikes coming, but the Tiger, one more shot could take it out. Oh my god, it looks like it's going to be very, very close. There we go, the Tiger being taken out. Oh no, Veterancy 1 on the M10 Tank Destroyer. It gets a speed buff from that Veterancy 1, and oh my god, being taken out by the Grenadiers. So very good job by the Grenadiers to at least finish off that Veterancy 1 M10. I bet if it got another kill or two, it could have gotten Veterancy 2, which would just make it even more deadly, get more penetration.
Yeah, the M10 for a Tiger, though, worth it every single time. There's just no bones about that.
As in killing the Tiger.
Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, come on, that's loads of experience. I think we saw something like plus 33 or something like that. I mean, that's loads to gain from that. I don't believe that was actually plus 33. I'm making stuff up here, but I saw something. It was a big amount. We do instead have, from the Confcross Center, Veterancy 2 coming out for vehicles. Ryan, can you remember what the bonuses are for Veterancy for Tigers? I believe it's something like... I believe it's something decreased. I believe 15% less damage for Veterancy 1, plus 15% more health. Veterancy 2, I believe something like that. You know, just I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head. It's something like that.
It gets bonuses. Tiger gets bigger. You know, that's one of the reasons that people like Tigers is because they do get the bonuses from Vet. As opposed to the King Tiger, which while the King Tiger is a beast, you only get one of them, and you know, there's some downsides to not having some of those other little perks that goes with it. Plus, it's slow as molasses.
Oh yeah, definitely. Tiger is just a big King Tiger is just a big snail. That's all it is. In fact, it actually looks like a snail. The Tiger, well, actually looking at the opponents right now, they're pretty much just, well, the Wehrmacht are scouting out what the American has, but it's pretty much a stalemate. Just some capping away going on the eastern flank and the western flank. Whilst the Wehrmacht are holding in on the center side, they are building a bunker. Now this could be kind of a funny thing. It could either be a medic bunker or it could be a repair bunker. Now, if we're looking at the kind of investment into the tanks, the Tigers at the moment, it might be a repair bunker, and indeed, yes, it is a repair bunker. So he obviously does not want to have to constantly get a force of Pioneers. Obviously, having a repair bunker is going to save that whole cost of replenishing Pioneers on the field. Cool.
Yep, we got the Sturmgewehr 44 Storm Squad running up on rifles, getting backed off by a grenade over on the west side. You know, the Tigers moving back forward again. You got 2 Shermans on the field. There's 2 AT guns. Now Seph really has enough AT to really competently deal with a Tiger on the field. He's also got a mortar for handling any of those pesky packs.
I actually like this. Seph, in fact, has 2 AT guns. One of them's a Wehrmacht one. That doesn't look very American to me. And so the Wehrmacht weapon is going to be used against the Wehrmacht. And look at that. We've got some shots going off. Also some mines to help protect the frontal flank whoops, of the Tiger. And so the Shermans are moving in. The Shermans are upgunned. Yay.
Yes, you know, the upgun on the Shermans obviously making you a lot more competent at killing tanks and dealing with the German heavy armor. However, it does reduce your effectiveness against the infantry, and the one thing that can be said is that, you know, Seph has reduced I Am Tyrant's infantry presence on the field a great deal, so he doesn't really have to worry about upgunning his Shermans the same way that he used to. We got a rifle squad running over another mine. Just there are mines everywhere. That's pretty much the moral of this story, is there are mines.
Mines absolutely everywhere. Mines. So, well, it's quite funny because Seph actually managed to completely change his entire army. I mean, in 20 minutes or so ago, he had no AT whatsoever, and he was really desperate when that Tiger started rolling out in the field, and now he's got so much AT that you're sort of wondering where's his AI, his anti-infantry. Well, his anti-infantry is pretty much nowhere. What I'd like to see is possibly a minesweeper squad, because as we consistently know from this game, mines are absolutely everywhere from Ganzi. Just one minesweeper could help a great deal in just keeping these tanks alive. They could definitely move in with that minesweeper.
Yeah, we've got the Storm Squad providing Vet 2 to the HMG team here, which, you know, Vet on HMGs can be nasty. It's even nastier if it's somebody else's. That, you know, like if the Panzer Elite picks up an MG and gets Vet on it, it gets really gross. But, you know, the American Vet, the Vet that comes on the support teams is actually very good. So, you know, he's going to definitely see some bonuses for that as long as he can keep it alive, which it isn't looking too hot.
Oh my god, huge amount of attacks. It's just a big, massive army here. Just mines everywhere. The Tiger in a desperate situation. A bombing run about to come down, and oh my god, did the bombing run just kill one of the tanks? One of the Shermans?
I can't honestly tell if it was the bombing run, the pack, or what happened there. It kind of looked like the bombing run, though, not gonna lie.
If that looked like some sort of friendly fire, to be honest. We saw 2 Shermans go down. That was a huge push of Shermans, and instantly two of them are gone just to take out that Tiger. That friendly fire wasn't absolutely brilliant. But then again, maybe he could have avoided it, maybe he couldn't. I guess the positioning of the strafing of the bombing run was to just follow that Tiger as it was falling back. However, let's look at what Ganzi has. Almost nothing now. He's got a Stormtrooper squad, 2 Pioneers, and a Grenadier squad. Oh my god, this is going to be so hard to recover from. Looking at the points, 65 for the Wehrmacht, 212 for Seph. He's leading. Seph is definitely leading very well in this game. He's got the points in his hands. He's got strategic points coming in his arms, and he's also got a more massive army than the Wehrmacht. It's not
Yeah, and
looking
that's
good.
never a position you want to be in with the Wehrmacht. Without a lot of territory control, without a lot of units, it's just not good to be in that kind of spot. And this may be. We've seen games obviously won on mistakes made at this point in the game by somebody like the American player here, but I don't see that happening. Seph has been doing this for too long to let this game go at this point.
Well, the points are definitely severed for the Americans, or the Wehrmacht, should I say. The manpower point is cut off, so hardly a great income at the moment. And like you said, it's just not a position you want to be in. Your opponent obviously has an upper hand on you. Strafing run going down. Grenade trying to stop Seph from capping away at this point. He's very, very desperate to just hold in on the VPs. He obviously realizes that he needs the VPs in order to stay in the game. And Seph, however, is kind of content on trying to end this by VPs as well. Obviously sacrificing Engineer Squad. Also, Pioneers capping the VP on the western side of the map as well. Just trying to hang on there best as he can, but losing guys. Unit preservation is really going down the drain now, Ryan.
Yeah, well, it's late game. It's the final minutes of it. You're gonna see some of that as things go on. There's bigger things at work. You've got Seph repelling the movement over on the west side, getting that southern VP back in his favor, running over a mine with a Sherman as it tries to back away from the infantry and the pack. There's a lot of stuff going on. Mistakes get made at this point. That's where anybody's micro begins to suffer after a certain point. Anybody's micro. I don't care if you're a Korean StarCraft player. Eventually your micro begins to suffer, depending on how many things are going on and what's going on.
Yeah, it's definitely a great analogy. Definitely, I agree with you that your micro eventually starts going down. I mean, if you're under pressure in these games, I mean, when we're watching the games right now, it's so easy to just relax to these casts, and it's just nice, and everything's so pretty to watch, and you're obviously commentating on these players and saying what they're doing wrong, but you got to be in the position, just realize how much stress these players are under. They're constantly flipping across the map. You just got to imagine this sort of stuff and be in their shoes. And obviously unit preservation isn't going to be absolutely perfect the entire game. We're only human, we're not robots like Seb, right? So obviously what the Wehrmacht should have done, I believe, personally, is that looking at his... Oh, well, I just want to mention one thing. The playback is actually over. That is due to VPs. I just want to mention that what the Wehrmacht actually should have done, in my opinion, is he had a load of fuel floating there, about 630. And now when you're playing Blitzkrieg, it puts you in an awkward position because pretty much everything that you can get costs manpower. And that's an awkward position on your fuel. So what I was actually thinking is that what you might want to do is go for your Tiger and then upgrade some veterancy on it, and just get it up to veterancy 3, because then it'll be obviously more effective, and you won't have to spend that whole 800 manpower consistently all the time just to replace your Tiger as soon as it's destroyed. Ryan, can you say anything else?
No, not really. I mean, I think we saw some unit preservation. We saw some unlucky things happen, but we also saw some losses mid-game that really kind of extended this game. There's a lot of matches like this that end in those 30 to 35 minute ranges where everything's played really well, and it's really kind of it's complicated play, but eventually somebody makes a mistake, somebody overruns them, and the game's over. This is one of those matches that really played out kind of all the way to the end, where somebody made a mistake, the other guy tried to run him over, couldn't run him over, so they were able to come back, and it kind of, those tides turned a couple different times during this match. So with those kinds of mistakes and the ebb and flow of this game, it really did turn out to be a decent game. We got to see strafe being used in the new patch. I don't really get to see it all that often, despite the fact that I play a lot of PE. People don't strafe me so very much anymore, and so it's interesting to see what it's effective against, what it's not, how it works, and and I really like to see kind of the different play, a lot of the mine usage, a lot of the classic barbed wire mines, Volk's play, the heavy tier 1 play, and so it was a very good cast.
Well, definitely very good indeed, as we keep on stressing. Both players played very well, and so that's all I can really say about it. Obviously, the unit preservation was key to some of the losses here, and that's all you can pretty much say about it. Very good game from both players, very entertaining, and so well done to Seph for winning that. So I hope Ryan can accompany me sometime soon. Ryan is definitely a busy guy, and he's sealing $1 million deals all the time. I'm sure he's just a very, very busy man. He has to help this world go round and round and round, just like the rest of us in this world. So anyway, guys, until next time, hopefully the next one will be with me and Ryan. But until next time, this is a Krebs, Coho, and Ryan cast, if that's what you want to call it. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.